What's up, guys? Max here, back with a brand new episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. I hope you're all doing great out there, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a really great day. Let me start off this show just by saying I'm glad this isn't a smell-o-vision episode, because if you could smell me right now, I stink. Why do I stink? We'll get back to that in a minute. God, am I the weirdest person to be hosting a show ever, or what? 1 gram of Sam, Harry Lime Pie, OG Litness, everybody in the chat. Great to see you out there. Everybody listening on the podcast, especially big shout out to you, because the podcast listeners rock and roll, and everybody else tuning in, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you're all coming at me from or watching this from. I hope you're all doing great out there. Why do I stink? Never Forgotten Media, what is up? Great to have you in the chat. Nice to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Why do I stink? Well, I spent the whole morning today with Austin Alexander. You might know him. He's a small up-and-coming YouTuber. He's got a tiny channel that just hit 1 million subscribers, and he and I met up this morning for the first time ever. We've been kind of talking on Instagram for a while. You can see his channel here. You know who that is. And we went to the gym. I hit him up and I said, hey, I'm going to be down in the San Diego area. Do you want to meet up? He said, let's go work out. You know, he's kind of a fitness guy. I said, that's perfect. Let me tell you, this guy is the real deal as advertised. In fact, I would say exceeded expectations. What a rock star he is, a true gentleman, world class, and hopefully a lot more cool stuff between him and I coming up really soon. That's why I'm rocking the Battle Bunker t-shirt right now that he gave me today, and I will proudly be supporting Battle Bunker. Hopefully a lot more coming up really soon. I also have a lot of cool stories for you guys today, featuring some crazy military true crime stories that are going to blow your mind, some fun stuff that we're going to get into later, and I'm going to leave you today with a feel-good story that's going to get you over this hump day and rounding out the week strong. One more quick announcement before we get into it is that tomorrow is going to be my Crisis of Command Stu Scheller spoiler review. So if you guys want to tune in for that, if you specifically do not want to know about that book and my thoughts on it prior to you reading it yourself, don't watch tomorrow's episode. That's all good, because tomorrow is going to be the spoiler review of Crisis of Command. So that's going to be a good one. Now, today's first story, sort of, in fact, it's not even a story, is a little correction on my part, because yesterday I told you guys about Volatus Winery that Dave in the chat had given a shout out to, and I was like, Volatus, yes. And actually, after I said that, I knew it wasn't what I meant. Volatus Winery is a winery up in Paso Robles, California, owned and operated by a Top Gun pilot, fighter jet pilot from the Navy, and he's an absolute great guy. I met him and sat down and spoke with him. He's awesome. But that's not the one I was thinking about. I was thinking of Pianetta Winery. So Pianetta Winery, with the Pianetta family, he was a Navy fighter pilot, served in Vietnam, many combat missions. We went up there and did a special episode with him. So if you guys want to check out some wine from the Paso Robles, Central California wine area, which is fantastic, and you should consider checking out Pianetta Winery, Pianetta, Pianetta Winery, absolute world-class people over there too. So please consider going to go check that out. You'd be doing yourself and everybody else in the Navy a favor if you're a wine drinker and you want to check. If you're of age, of course, 21 and over, and you're interested in wine, I recommend going to check that one out. Never Forgotten says, hot out here in San Diego. That is absolutely true. We've got OG Litness. It's great to see you. It's been a long time. Eviana, nice to see you in the chat, and everybody else out there who hasn't checked in yet. I hope you're doing good. Check in. Let me know what altitude you're at and what payload you're carrying. I'd love to hear from you. So let's go ahead and get the show started, because as always, I have a Scuttlebutt show planned for you today. The first story that I have here is an update. Okay, we talked about this guy earlier this week, maybe last week. Actually, I think it was last week that we talked about this guy. But there's an update here that I want to bring to you guys, because I thought it was, we got to slam dunk on this dude and hopefully put him in prison for the rest of his life. But I wanted you to know this story took a twist, and it's kind of interesting. Victim's mom, her mother, the victim's mother, tracked this runaway Marine who killed her daughter down to El Salvador. So this person was actually apprehended in part thanks to the mother of the victim, who turned out to be a law enforcement veteran herself. So this was an absolutely crazy twist that I saw that I want to bring to you guys. So we talked about this. Raymond McLeod, he killed his, or he's accused, allegedly killed his girlfriend back in 2016 before fleeing the country. Looks like he's a roid raging bodybuilder type Marine who has been on the run, on the lam, on the most wanted lists. And he's been out there. A tip came in that he was teaching English down in El Salvador, and they apprehended him in cooperation with the U.S. Marshals and the government down there. He's now back in San Diego facing charges of killing his girlfriend, Crystal Mitchell. He was captured in August in a Central American country after the U.S. Marshal Service received a tip that he was teaching English at a school in the city of Sonsonate, El Salvador. If nothing else, this case represents what it means when the public responds and they tell law enforcement what they've seen in order to bring justice to grieving families. As you know, I strongly support being a good community member, and we have to take care of each other within our communities, especially against crime and criminals. We cannot be afraid. We cannot cower in the face of people like this who would use intimidation and you know, their loud mouths to scare you from stepping in when they mean to do harm to others. We have to be good community members. So do not be afraid to give a tip, to get involved, to do the right thing. We all have to band together, and there's strength in our unity. He was taken into custody Monday afternoon by local law enforcement. The person who gave the tip's actually going to get a $50,000 reward, which is awesome. So it turns out that the mother of this person, Josephine Funes-Wenzel, is a retired police detective who diligently pursued information about McLeod's whereabouts, according to the San Diego Union Tribune. She was a driving force in this arrest, Deputy Marshal Joseph O'Callahan, which is the ultimate police name. You cannot be a more police officer than Deputy Marshal Joseph O'Callahan. O'Callahan's on the case. O'Callahan's going to track you down. O'Callahan can, all right? That's the deal. According to court documents, the night before Mitchell's death, the couple went to a bar where a person saw McLeod slap Mitchell in the face. When the person tried to intervene, they got into a fight with McLeod, and the couple was kicked out of the bar. So, you know, again, this guy's showing his true colors in public there, and when somebody tried to get involved, it just escalated it. And it's too bad nobody else was able to intervene and protect this person. Then McLeod grabbed Mitchell by her neck, according to surveillance video, and shoved her into an elevator. They returned late to their apartment, the newspaper reported, and the next day, McLeod left the apartment and somebody found Mitchell's body in the guest room. So that's you know, a pretty damning report right there. Hopefully, if this person is guilty, they are found guilty in the court of law and they get their up and comings. But I just thought it was an interesting twist to this story. I thought you guys might want to know it was actually the mother, the family of the victim, who had to get involved to help bring this fugitive to justice. And I'm glad that they did, because this guy looks like just a total dirtbag. Dirtbag is what he looks like, allegedly. Gotta say allegedly. Harry Lime Pie, love those updates. Thank you. I will always keep those. Nuggets is impressed that the mother got her justice. OG Litness says, this is crazy, flat out killer on the run moment. It is. That's a killer on the run right there. That's exactly what that is, which is wild, So people, we're going to talk about some stolen identity, some stolen valor here in this episode, but I called this particular episode Stolen Valor, Stolen Everything, because this episode is about stealing everything. And ultimately, we will wrap it up into, you know, some giving back. But there is some other theft going on right out there. The Army, I love it when I can start a story with the Army. Ex-first sergeant convicted in Fort Hood arms room theft conspiracy. As if there wasn't enough bad coming out of the arms rooms in Fort Hood after the Vanessa Guillen case, now we have this. The former top NCO for a Patriot missile battery, so no big deal there, in Fort Hood, has become the third soldier convicted as part of an arms room theft ring, Third Corps officials confirmed. So what were they stealing? Why were they doing it? We're going to get into that. Master Sergeant Rusty Grote, which sounds like a name that you would find in an adult film. Hey, Sergeant Rusty Grote, would you discipline me? Unfortunately, he's going to be the one getting disciplined now that he's been busted out there at B Battery, 4th Battalion, 5th Air Defense Artillery Regiment when the thefts occurred. He, the battery commander, and another senior NCO conspired to steal 25 red dot sights or M68 close combat optics, or in other words, the things you put on your gun that create a little red reticle that you can see when you look through them, so you can center that up on your target when you were aiming to deploy some munitions downrange. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You cannot be stealing weapons parts. That's not good. And this all took place shortly before the unit deployed to Saudi Arabia in December 2019. He thought that deployment would be chaotic enough for them to cook the books, if you will. He pled not guilty initially. He changed his plea in exchange for a deal that saw him convicted of conspiracy to steal government property, larceny of government property, and making a false statement. He was reduced in rank to private first class, issued a formal reprimand, and will serve 60 days in confinement. So from first sergeant to private first class, that is how the mighty have fallen. Grote, come on, Grote. Private Grote, report for duty at the brig. The battery commander, Captain Robin Morales, previously pled guilty to conspiracy. So that's a 03 in the Army there. And making a false official statement, he was reprimanded, confined for 75 days, and dismissed from the Army. Robin, I assumed was a male, but I guess that could be a female, huh? Robin. Is there a pronoun in there? No. Okay, not sure. Co-conspirator, Sergeant First Class Jeremiah Pierce, also pled guilty to conspiracy and larceny of government property in May. So this is like a whole group involved here. Their plan was ahead of deployment. The three leaders handed out some of the optics to junior troops in the unit and then kept others for themselves. Oh yeah, that's how it's done. That's how you build. You know, faith and leadership within the Army. That's what they need right now. Emma, are you okay? Emma, please, if you see these videos, check in. Let me know that you're okay. A soldier from the unit previously told Army Times that conspirators believed the optics had fallen off the books, just like they had probably fallen off a truck when they're out there for sale on eBay, and were no longer being officially tracked in property accountability systems. But they were wrong. You were wrong. Investigators honed in on the loss, and in early 2020, during their deployment leading the troops to try and cover their tracks, a colonel began asking questions as part of a command investigation. Uh-oh, the colonel's onto you. The investigators honed in on the loss, and I just read that part. The three leaders reportedly coached subordinates to lie about where they'd found the optics. Now we're in the realm of cover-up. The sites had turned up in the unit's communications closet, and nobody knew where the missing ones were. Each of them faced charges related to the alleged cover-up. Pierce told one junior soldier to lie about the site. So there's those Army Corps values, according to the charge sheet, and explained the story to another NCO to be on the same page. Oh, my God. Morales told the communications closet story to the colonel investigating the disappearance and instructed Grote to delete his text messages related to the optics. It's not clear when the battalion decided the story was not true. I don't know if you decide a story's not true or if you discover a story's not true. I feel like you discover a story's not true. You don't decide it. I've decided, like the Ents in Lord of the Rings, we have decided you are not optics. Grote was charged with lying to a CID agent during an October 21st, 2021 interrogation. He said, "I didn't want anything to do with this. I got pulled into this against my will and knew nothing about it. I did not know who all had the optics." Oh my God, that's totally BS. Trying to put it on the captain. The battalion's former top enlisted soldier, Sergeant Major Thomas Barrios, was busted and ranked to Master Sergeant and sentenced to 60 days in jail after pleading guilty to fraternization, false official statements, and adultery in a June court-martial. So that's good. You got the top enlisted soldier, you've got captains, you've got first sergeants, you've got everybody out there just doing what the Army seems to do out there at Fort Hood, which is be up to no good. It apparently, folks, is not, in fact, all good in the hood. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. It is apparently not all good in the hood by a long shot. John, if you're out there in the chat or anywhere listening to this, I just hope you're staying safe, bud. John Franco. If you name your kid Rusty, even as a first name, he's bound for jail. Nuggets, that's a sick burn. Yes, sir, what's up? Way to set your unit up for success, First Sergeant. One Grandma Sam says, yeah, absolutely. Fort Hood, where dreams go to die, Kitty Steele says. PCS to Fort Hood should be considered a combat deployment. I'm going to add to that. Not just a deployment, a combat deployment. That's it. That's absolutely true. People are doing, you as consumers, right? Veterans are consumers. Us veterans exist in our own economy, right? There's I think about this a lot. There's like layers to reality. You know what I mean? If you're a veteran, you have a whole nother layer to your existence. You have your veteran stuff. You exist within the Department of Veterans Affairs. You exist within the military brotherhood and sisterhood. You exist in the VFW, at the American Legion, all these things. You get special government privilege and preference and all this stuff. You exist in another layer of reality. And once you're in these, unique layers, like the ultra rich are in another one, firefighters are in one, police are in one, whatever you are, whatever your specialty is, whatever your niche is, you fit into that layer. It's like you operate in this other realm that other people are not in. They're not in your circle. They're not hearing the stories that you're hearing. They're not talking about the topics that you're talking about. And as veterans, we find ourselves in a veteran consumer market, right? We can choose how and where to spend our money, and oftentimes we choose to use our money and benefits in fellow veteran-owned and operated businesses. I did it, in fact, yesterday. I spent some money at a veteran-owned coffee shop, and I really like that. I do that as often as I can. I really do try to support the troops, all right, as a troop myself, if you will. An honorary, at least, lifetime member of the 16th Military Police Brigade you're looking at right here, so I would be busting those people down for stealing those optics. And when you do, there's kind of a sense of fraternity or trust that you have in the person doing business with you, that they're a veteran, you're a veteran, they're helping veterans, they're involved in veteran causes, that they're not going to screw you over. And then once in a while, somebody does. Jackson man sentenced for wire fraud scheme designed to fraudulently obtain GI Bill funds from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So you guys have to look out for scams like this before you get robbed blind of your benefits. A Jackson man was sentenced to serve 1 year and 1 day in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release in order to pay over $402,000. That's so specific that, what is it, like $402,000.93 in restitution to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for perpetrating a wire fraud scheme to steal federal funds. Anthony Kelly, 60 years old, a little old to be up to this, was sentenced today, and that this article is from about a few weeks ago, so this is not, I just discovered this, but was sentenced in U.S. District Court in Jackson. Kelly owns Trendsetters Barber College in Jackson, Mississippi. Trendsetters was certified by the VA and Mississippi State Approving Agency to offer courses which would be covered by GI Bill benefits for veterans enrolled in the school's programs. Beginning at least as early as October 2016 and continuing through March 2019, so that's about 3 years there, almost 3 years, Kelly offered a master barber course that was not an accredited course of study approved by the state's Board of Barber Examiners. Kelly fraudulently represented that this course was an approved course of study and as a result was allowed to collect GI Bill money from veterans enrolled in the program. At least 2 veterans were enrolled in the Master Barber program using their GI Bill benefits, and as a result, the VA made interstate wire transfers of federal funds to Kelly based on his fraudulent representations. I'll also add that it says at least 2, but that he owed $402,000. So I don't know what kind of barber school is charging those types of fees for a course like that. If you out there have been to barber college, or whatever that's called, cosmetology, or I don't even know, barber hairdressing, I don't even know what it's called. Correct me in the comments. But if you've been out there to that and you know what the average cost for an education in that field is it's more or less than $201,000. I'm gonna go with it's probably less. He pled guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud, and the Department of Veterans Affairs Office Inspector General investigated the case and was prosecuted by the Assistant United States Attorney Andrew Eichner. So please be careful out there. The person that you choose to invest your benefits in, your money in, that they're doing good business and not trying to weasel their way into your layer of consumership and reality and take your money. They took your money. They took her money. Not good. And nobody should be paying $200,000 to get a college education, period. I don't care if you're a surgeon. Seriously. Nobody should be paying $200,000 for an education. That is insane to me. That is wild. Wild and crazy. Who is paying that much money for freaking education? $200,000 to go to a trade school? That's serious stuff. That's a trade school. That's a trade school, you guys. That's serious. And that's if there's 2 veterans. But I would think like with a $400,000, I would think like 30 or 40 people have been involved in that school for that amount of money. That's crazy. Kitty says, I only paid $14,000 for cosmetology school. That's good. Is that 14,000? Yeah, 14,000. I had to count the zeros there. $14,000 for cosmetology school. Thank you for putting that in there and letting us know. $14,000 is a long cry from 200,000. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's a serious and potentially nefarious thing going on in the military. Well, there's a lot. We're going to talk about it tomorrow with Stu Scheller's book. But there's a lot. And one of the things is in recruiting. Recruiting's been getting sketch lately, huh? At first it was, we don't care if you graduated high school. Then it was, we don't care if you're a criminal. We don't care if you're on drugs. And this one has been, we've been talking about this for a while on the show. And I just don't, I mean, I'm a very open-minded person. I am. I'm probably, classically speaking, liberal. Not modern liberal, but classical liberal, probably you would say. And don't read too much into that. I don't even know what that word means anymore, to be honest. But I'm very open-minded about things is the key point here. And this is just like, when's enough? It makes you wonder, with recruiting being so in the dumps, soon, what won't they give you a waiver for? Democrats are pushing Biden to let HIV-positive Americans join the military. There is a long list of disqualifying medical conditions that prevent you from joining the military. In fact, almost every medical condition is disqualifying from joining the military. You need to get some kind of waiver for. You have to be in virtually perfect health to join the military without some sort of waiver or special exception. But now, a group of Democratic lawmakers is urging President Joe Biden to allow Americans who have tested positive for HIV to enlist in the military. Why? The Pentagon announced earlier this year that HIV-positive troops will no longer be involuntarily separated or barred from deployment, but it kept restrictions on those with the virus and enlisting or commissioning into the military. The problem with you could go down the list of problems. But one of the main problems with allowing people into the military who have serious health conditions is that a lot of people try to join the military just to get health care for their serious medical conditions, and not because they're patriots or are honorable people or anything, really. Like, they could be terrible people, but they want to join the military just to reap the benefits, including medical, dental, education, and all that stuff. It's fine to join the military because you want to get your GI Bill. You serve honorably, and then you do that, and then you get your benefits. That's the contract. But this whole, exception for pretty much everything nowadays to join the military, it's not going to help. It's going to hurt, I think. They say, just as it abandoned the defense of discriminatory restrictions on service members living with HIV, we ask your administration to abandon these excuses for continuing to prevent people living with HIV who are stabilized in treatment from joining the U.S. military. One of the main concerns that comes to mind right away is I'm pretty sure the best treatment for HIV, the absolute best, is still a once a month injection. And those injections come with their own batches of side effects and health risks. And why would you forward deploy somebody who this is like, it's hard to describe. If you've never been in the military, it's hard to really put to lasso this issue into a tidy little bun. But let's say, for example, my wife and I just spent the last 3 years living in Okinawa. We had to get overseas screenings, okay? You or your family can easily be disqualified from serving overseas anywhere, even in Japan, where there's a huge military established presence and bases and hospitals and infrastructure and all of that. The reason is because overseas, the military does not have high-level health care available. If you get really sick, you have to pretty much fly back to the United States or Tripler in Hawaii or something like that to seek treatment. Well, which is still the United States, don't get me wrong, but I mean continental versus, outlying Hawaii and Alaska. You pretty much have to fly back to the continental United States to get treatment if you test positive or find yourself contracting any sort of serious illness. It's true on deployment too. You're on deployment, you get seriously sick, they'll send you home. And this is like you're letting people in who should really be, disqualified because they have incurable, persistent conditions that need constant medication and treatment to stabilize and allow them to live a healthy life. But even then, they have risk of, contracting serious illnesses or having complications. And to say in here in a quote from the U.S. District Court, the military had a policy for which there was no rational basis is insane. There is no rational basis to disqualify service members for having HIV. Like, that's crazy to me, because I'll give you one example. When I was training for Afghanistan, we did IV training, how to put an IV in somebody. And I got other people's blood on me in training on that occasion. I mean, many times. And then on deployment, forget about it. But just on that occasion, I'm untrained, I'm handling needles, and I'm handling other people's blood. Do you think I'm going to feel better knowing that anybody that I work with in any circumstances, deploying or not deploying or whatever, could potentially have HIV? No, I'm not. I'm not going to feel better, to be totally honest. And at least with the policy that stood, which is you could, if you contracted HIV or were infected somehow during service, you could continue to serve. You would be off sea duty. You would be at typically a shore command or a limited duty command. And then when you go to sea duty, when you go to deployment, because you can't go around asking people about their health status, at least you could have a strong assumption, a strong baseline presumption that the people that you're working with and could be exposed to their bodily fluids in horrifying situations is somebody who is deemed healthy enough for sea duty. And now, if that means that they could have, why not just go ahead with tuberculosis and hepatitis and all these other things? It's pretty frightening that they would do that. I'm just thinking, as from a person who was kind of a health, not a germ freak a little bit, the idea that that I'm going to be exposed to the bodily fluids of people whose health status could include communicable serious diseases does not make me feel better. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that in the comments. I don't think that that's a good idea. I think this is a weird, misplaced policy and is not going to help with recruiting, because I'm not exactly sure. Also, just, thinking about it, the pool of candidates that are HIV positive that would make good members of the military, that doesn't add up, really. How many people out there who've been exposed and contracted HIV also are just, we just can't defend this nation without them. I don't know. How many people how many exceptional people out there who are HIV positive are we missing out on because of that policy? It's like women going to SEAL training. It sounds good. It sounds progressive and all that. Like, hey, we're inclusive or whatever. But who are these people? Who are these candidates? I don't see them existing. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Not to be a Debbie Downer on that issue for anybody out there who might be dealing with that. I have nothing but empathy and sympathy for people going through, illnesses and diseases. I promise you that I do. But this just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments section. Write me at thescuttlebuttshow@gmail.com. Any of that, I'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. Golly. Big 1 gram of Sam says, big liability. Yeah. Eviana says, what, really? And they couldn't get an age waiver for me. Okay. Yeah. Kitty Steele says, HIV, totally don't see anything going south with that. Yep. HIV is a little too far, even for me. It usually doesn't care about health or mental crap as long as the individual can get the job done. Yep. Harry Lion Pie says, I think this would not help good order and discipline. Yeah. Honestly, to me, people with HIV have other things to worry about than joining the military. Yeah. Yeah. You would think people would be pretty logical about this kind of thing, but it seems like everything else in the world, there's just no such thing as logical anymore, that's for sure. I put stolen valor today. Stolen valor. Stolen valor. Stolen everything. And that's pretty much the name of the game on this next story, which is today's headline news. Man who joined Army under fake name 37 years ago avoids prison but doesn't avoid all punishment. Let's talk about this insane story of this gentleman who, wasn't who he claims to be. In 1985, the year that I was born, DeLeo Barner was desperate to re-enlist in the Army. DeLeo, D-E-L-E-O, capital D, lowercase e, capital L, lowercase e-o. DeLeo Barner was desperate to re-enlist in the Army. After having been dismissed from the service in 1984 for minor misconduct, Barner returned to his native St. Louis and became terrified of succumbing to violence there. St. Louis, very violent gang activity. I could totally understand that. In his first 3 weeks back in the city, 2 of his friends died from gun violence, so that's not good. But because of a less than stellar initial enlistment, court filings that are referenced here in this article include missing a readiness alert as one of the reasons he was ended up getting kicked out of the Army. He couldn't escape St. Louis by rejoining. He wasn't eligible because of his category of discharge from his prior service. So Barner, not deterred by that, took another route. It says, took another route. In a choice that wouldn't catch up with him for nearly 4 decades, he obtained the name and identity of another St. Louis resident, Joel Sanders, and became a soldier again. Back then, they didn't have the computers that we have today. So this guy just decided he was going to become Joel Sanders. And at the moment that he decided to become Joel Sanders, he became today's Scuttlebutt Show Clown of the Day. Now 60, Barner was sentenced Tuesday by a Missouri federal judge to 100 hours of community service and time served for the week he has already spent in jail, plus 3 years of supervised release. He had lived under Sanders' name for decades. Court documents indicate that Barner obtained the identity of Sanders without his permission or knowledge at the St. Louis City Hall in the spring of 1985, but offer no details about how the scheme unfolded. Barner's public defender said in a court filing that he acted on the advice of his military recruiter, which I doubt. The mid-'80s were a difficult time to be a black man in the service, Gomirak said. Mr. Barner acknowledges disciplinary issues in the latter part of his time in the Army, but felt that he was not treated fairly in his discharge and the indefinite bar from reenlistment. And the second time around, Barner served in the Army for more than 3 years and was stationed in Berlin, Germany for much of the time. According to Gormiak, he earned several decorations, including a Good Conduct Medal, which just means that you avoided getting caught, basically is what good conduct in the military means. Still living as Sanders, Barner settled down in Berlin with his fake identity. Before leaving the Army, he found a German partner and had 6 children, all under a fake identity. He started a security business, ironically enough, of all things, started a security business and then never returned to the United States. Only then, in June of 2018, will the real Joel Sanders please stand up? The real Joel Sanders tried to secure health insurance, which he must have been pretty old at this point too, and he was told that because he's a veteran, he had to get it through the Department of Veterans Affairs. Sanders, shocked by this news because he had never actually been in the military, notified the police. He called the VA police. In the course of an investigation by the VA Office of Inspector General and the State Department's Diplomatic Security Services, Barner admitted in July 2019 to using Sanders' identity to obtain passports and VA benefits. He was indicted in March 2020 and surrendered himself to officials in August 2021. He pled guilty and made of fraudulently obtaining a passport. As part of the plea deal, Missouri federal prosecutors dropped a charge of identity theft, and which would have possibly brought him up to 10 years in prison. The Diplomatic Security Service is firmly committed to working with the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate allegations of crimes related to passport and visa fraud and protecting the integrity of U.S. passports and visas, the most sought-after travel documents in the world. Interesting. Mr. Barner is extremely remorseful and humbled by this experience and is grateful for the ongoing support of his family and the outcome of this case. Who knows? If you were one of his 6 kids or his wife, only to find this out, how would that make you feel? If you were the family of the Scuttlebutt Show Clown of the Day, how would you feel? I don't think I would feel too good about it. You guys let me know in the comments section down below how you would feel if you found out that this person that you knew for decades, who was managing your security, was living a fake life. Dun, dun, dun. Crazy. Crazy. Wow, wow, wow. Wild. One Grandma Sam says, yep. This guy's a dirtbag in 2 names, Harry Lion Pie says, which is a sick burn. Absolutely sick burn. Yeah, that's wild. That is wild. Steals someone's identity, moves to Germany, gets married, has 6 kids, starts a business, all under a fake identity, and then only gets caught because the real guy, after all that time, imagine how cool of a dude this guy was. This guy, the real guy, is so tough and squared away, he didn't even need to go to a doctor for 37 years. He was like, oh, I'm good. I don't need no doctor telling me what to do. I'm fine. I'm fine with grown up. I'm me. I know who I am. I'm healthy. I know my body. And finally, he's like, I better go to a doctor and get a checkup. I'm 103. Then they tells him, oh, sir, all that time you spent in the military, you can't get health insurance here. What's that? Miss Attendant, Mr. Attendant? I was never in the military. Oh, it says right here, sir, Army, 6 years. I don't know. I don't think so. Well, take it up with the police. And that's what he did. Absolutely crazy story. Absolutely wild and crazy story. We're near the end of today's show. We're going to get out of here early today. I'm telling you guys, I am beat. Working out with Austin Alexander this morning. We did a shoulder workout, and my shoulders are very tired. He's a pretty fit dude, pretty fit. I was able to keep up. I would say I kept up, but he is a very fit dude. He's about 2 inches taller than me too, which rarely ever happens. It's wild. He's a big guy. Big dude with a big presence, big personality, and absolute rock star. So let's do this. How about this? Let's do this. I've got another funny thing here from We Are the Mighty, which is a great site full of fun stuff, and I hope you guys check that out once in a while. And then we're going to do a feel-good story for today. I'm going to get you guys out of here nice and tidy, cleaned up, tidied up, in a good mood. 5 things never said by a United States Marine. Here we go from We Are the Mighty. First one here. The first sergeant and I get along great. Yep. Well, that's why that private stole that first sergeant's camper the other day. How about this one? I love these uniform inspections. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. It's more like uniform inspection. I have to go rebuy all my uniforms. That's always a good one. Number 3, there just aren't enough rules. You know what? I agree. I just think that I went out and did something the other day and I didn't get in trouble for it, and that's totally unacceptable. We need more rules. Here we go. Number 4, and I like this one. I can't wait to go to the field. Oh, yeah, good, devil dogs, ground pounders, infantry out there. You can't get to your next stop soon enough. After 2 weeks living in a field, turnaround time better be less than 48 hours with your friends and family before you're back in your foxhole, because that is what we love. We just love going out there and doing field exercises. Nothing beats bad food and pouring rain. And then lastly, and this is my favorite one of all, I wish I could hump these mortars. But the only thing about this last one is I feel like that is something that's been said, but not the way that they mean it. Of course, what they mean is, I wish I could hump the mortars. What they mean is, I wish I could carry these far. That's what they mean by hump. But I'm thinking these Marines out there are humping mortars. You know what? It's hump day. They're humping mortars. That's how they roll. That's like one of their main things. So I would be willing to bet that number 5, I wish I could hump the mortars, has been uttered once, twice, or maybe even hundreds of times by those proud Marines out there. Get some Marines. That's a fun story right there. I love rocking with the United States Marine Corps. That's a good one. That is a good one. I wish I could hump the mortars. Good to go. One Grandma Sam says, raw to all. Kitty Steele says, this sounds like a duffel blog. Yes. Duffel blog is hilarious. My favorite duffel blog headline of all time was, TRICARE now officially recognizes your wife's boyfriend as a dependent. Oh, God. TRICARE officially recognizes your wife's boyfriend as a dependent. That was my favorite duffel blog headline of all time. That one gets me just thinking about it. Tickles me. In the worst way, of course. Like, it's sad. I laugh because I can't cry anymore. Yeah, so it's going to be an early day today, guys. I'm a little deliriously tired. So I'm going to do this last one, which is actually going to take a little bit of the weight off my shoulders, because this next one's going to be a video. We're going to watch it together. We're going to feel good. We're going to cry and smile, and we're all going to go on and have a great day and tell everyone we know about this episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. Here we go. Let's get into it. Are you guys ready? I am. U.S. Army veteran presented with a brand new home in Jupiter. Jupiter, I believe, is that Florida man out there getting a brand new home. So let's watch this from their local news out there.
U.S. Army veteran now has a special place he can call home. Today, national nonprofit organization Homes for Our Troops gave Army Staff Sergeant Michael Montaigne the keys to his custom home in Jupiter. We were there as he and his wife crossed the threshold of that home for the very first time.
Aw.
U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Michael Montang and his wife, Cammie Sue, took it all in silently while entering their brand new Jupiter home for the first time. The home was built specially for Montang. His leg was amputated and his tailbone and left kidney were removed after being injured during a blast in Iraq in 2007.
I have this wheelchair, an electric wheelchair that are difficult to get around in the things I've been living in for not only the last 5 years, but ever since this happened.
Nonprofit Homes for Our Troops gave Montang and his wife the keys Saturday at an event attended by people in the community. And complete with a motorcycle procession. Congressman Brian Mast also spoke and presented Montang with an American flag once flown over the U.S. Capitol building.
For me, it is an honor to be able to present you with this flag that I do believe you are eternally sewn into as a part of that stitching that holds this thing together, like all of our brothers and sisters in arms.
But the biggest gift for Montang is the freedom this new home gives him. In his previous house, he had trouble getting into the bathroom because of narrow doorways and also had trouble reaching for cabinets and appliances in his kitchen. Now, with more than 40 major special adaptations in his new home, he doesn't have to worry about that.
He is not allowed to do laundry. That's not going to change, but I am looking forward to him being able to see the dishes while he starts to wash them.
The generosity of Homes for Our Troops and its volunteers is something he and his wife are incredibly grateful for.
And I'm glad I'm a part of it, and I'm glad I'm going to be able to participate in the future and making sure other people also get into a home.
There's a reason that this charity is called Homes for Our Troops. And they may have built a house, but they gave us a home.
Homes for Our Troops currently has more than 75 active projects underway nationwide. We have more information on how you can get involved or donate on WPBF.com.
All right. Wow. That got me a little bit. Take a minute with that one. Homes for Our Troops. Oh, man. You know, you don't think about this too much, but wounded in 2007 in a blast in Iraq. So he's been living with his injuries for 15 years already and will continue to live with them for decades longer. Hopefully he lives a fulfilling, happy life, long life with his family. You join the military, you go overseas for our country, you get injured. Sometimes people get injured on their first mission. They never even shoot back. They just get blown up. They come back missing a limb, and they have to live the rest of their lives with that. From that one moment, there's that one moment, that one, you get that one feeling like you have to go do something, and you go do it, and you then live with the results for the rest of your life. And that's honorable and brave to do. And it's up to us, the rest of the American citizens, to acknowledge that bravery and continue to take care of one another for all of that time. All right? It's not just until the war is over. It's not just until it's not cool anymore. It is the burden that we all have for the rest of our lives, all of us that have been bonded through the military, that we do look out and take care of one another, because we owe that to one another. It's the minimum. It's the minimum that we, take care of each other, call each other up, try to be a good friend. I could be better at it many times myself, and make sure that we're, one another are doing okay, and that we're not forgotten, that these people, and that people are not forgotten about. That people are not forgotten about. Anybody can build a house, but they gave them a home. Homes for Our Troops and Staff Sergeant Michael Montang and his wife in their brand new home in Jupiter, Florida, customized for him in his wheelchair. He had his leg amputated, tailbone and left kidney removed, which means he has probably a lot of other injuries as well that he has to deal with based on the fact that he had a kidney bone and tailbone removed. So he's living every day. If somebody like him can go out there and live every day and make the most of it and enjoy their life and be happy that they're alive, I think that we all can, right? I don't think there's any excuse. I don't think any of us get any excuse at that point, I'm pretty sure. So make sure you honor today and honor one another and honor this life that you have, and go out there, get some, have a good day, love your family, love each other, be a good member of your community. And if you're seeking inspiration remember the wounded veterans out there like Staff Sergeant Montage, who's living his life with, missing limbs, missing bones, missing organs, and still getting around. What's your excuse? And good for the nonprofits out there like Homes for Our Troops, who are taking care of people like him who would never ask for it, would never, appear needy or unable to care for themselves or as some kind of victim, but absolutely deserve that kind of help and generosity and kindness and love. And that's the least we can do for one another. And I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired by that. I feel it. I'm feeling it right now running through my veins. So today's going to be a good day. It already was a great day, and now it's going to be just one for the books. All right? I hope you guys out there feel the same way, and you can go enjoy your day as well. Because that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Scuttlebutt Show. I hope you all doing wonderful and enjoyed it. Please share these stories with friends and family and let them know that we all need to be more vigilant. We all need to take care of one another. It's not all bad, and we can still do better. So with all that being said, I look forward to talking to you all very soon. Thanks for being out there in the chat today. Until next time, guys, for now, that's the Scuttlebutt.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.